Namaskar and welcome. It's 6:30 in the evening. Time to get you a quick update and quick perspective on the top stories of the day. We look at these three big stories of the day. First, we'll talk about the GST Council meet after lockdown. And remember, it's the first significant one. The big takeaways, latest on the important observations made by the top court today, vis-a-vis treatment meted out to patients and also the handling of bodies. Plus, latest as far as numbers in COVID pandemic is concerned, nationally and internationally. I'm Sakal Bhatt and let's begin with the top story that we are tracking for you at this broadcast. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, in fact, has said that no late fees will be levied on registered entities with nil GST return filing between July 2017 and January 2020. Let's listen.
For all those who have no tax liability but who have not filed their returns between July of 2017 and till January 2020, there won't be a late fee at all. The next one, the maximum late fee has been capped to 500 per return if there is tax liability. This reduced rate of late fee would apply for all the GSTR 3Bs. Those GSTR 3B returns which are getting furnished between 1st July 2020 to 30th September 2020.
Finance Minister also said that small taxpayers whose aggregate turnover is up to ₹5 crore will be provided a waiver of late fees and interest if they file the form GSTR 3B for the supplies affected in months of May, June and July 2020 by September 2020, but no late fee or interest.
The rate of interest is reduced from 18% to 9%. In other words, for these months, small taxpayers will not be charged any interest till the notified days of relief. For February, March and April, because we have given time till July 6th, which is the staggered date, otherwise they would have done it in their respective months. Up to July, there's nothing that they have to worry about. They don't have to pay the late fee. But thereafter, it will be 9% instead of 18%. And this 9% for these small turnover people, turnover up to only 5 crores people, is only allowed till 30th September. So reduction in the interest rate is valid only up to 30th September. Is to provide relief for small taxpayers for subsequent tax periods, which is May, June and July. For that period also, we are giving a relief for taxpayers having an aggregate turnover up to 5 crores. This further relief, which is provided by a waiver of late fees and interest if they file the Form 3B for the supplies which have been affected in the months of May, June and July by September 2020. There also the dates will be staggered, but it all will end by 30th September.
Nirmala Sitharaman also said that special one agenda meeting will be happening in July, that's next month, to discuss compensation requirements of the states.
In July, which is on the request of all the ministers, there shall be a meeting to discuss exclusively one agenda point, and that is compensation cess. Compensation which has to be given to the states, and if at all it results in some kind of borrowing, how and who is going to pay for it. These are issues which in July all members have requested for a special one agenda council meeting, which we've agreed dates will be fixed subsequently.
And my colleague Ajay is joining us live to decode why is this GST Council meet important. Ajay, good evening to you. In fact, you asked that very pertinent question in that press conference later on about the entire optics of it. Just to break it down further for the viewers to understand the significance and the big takeaways, and has it really come as a big respite as far as the trading community is concerned, because this being the first council meet in the current pandemic or lockdown situation?
So just to simplify the things for all of us, Sakal, this was a scheduled meeting of GST Council. First in the lockdown, that too virtual one. It was scheduled just for 1.5 in the morning, but it lasted for more than 3.5, 4 hours, and we were just waiting for the finance minister to actually come out with the outcomes and decisions. But this was huge when she announced this huge announcement that all the taxpayers, all the GST taxpayers, right from the beginning, July 2017. Till January 2020, those who are not doing any kind of business, they are problems, they are not able to just file the returns, their bureaucracy, the tax department, in just one stroke, she has given a waiver to everyone who was in a problem. Secondly, for the small taxpayers whose turnover is just below 5 crore rupees, she is saying that you have the time limit till 30th of September. Please come forward. If you file the returns in time, there will be no penalty. There will be no levy. There will be no late fees for you. And that's a one-time significant opportunity that has been given to the small taxpayers. Also, some of the industries have lost their registration because of so many problems. They have also given one-time opportunity for a new fresh application up till 30th of September, and they can get back their GST registration. So, in order to smoothen out the operations for small taxpayers, the finance minister and the GST Council have gone out of the way to help the industry in crisis, and that was the crux and core of today's agenda. And also the compensation issue that you raised is very important, which will be taken in the next meeting.
How has the what has been the industry reaction to this, the trade fraternity reaction to it, the Aam Aadmi, the taxpayer reaction to this important meeting, considering the current situation that we are confronted with on the economic front?
Well, I think that's very pertinent question. When I spoke to some of the industries, they were super happy, because among the MSME, you can understand, Sakal, that because of some problems, they are not able to deliver on the business front. They just have the GST number, they just have the compliance, they just have the papers, but they're not getting orders for some reason. They're not able to execute and show their talent for some reason. That's why in spite of all the problems, they are just keep the GST returns in pending. They're not able to file the returns and the nil returns. When I spoke to the industry people, they are very happy. Okay. Because those who had just nil return and no business, they will just have to send one SMS to the Ministry of Finance, and that's done. Okay. They will not have to do anything. And for the small taxpayers, obviously, if you file the returns in time, you'll have no penalty and interest rate. And interest rate of 18% has been brought down to just 9%. So what a relief for them.
So well received, a huge sigh of relief at the end of this GST Council meet from the important stakeholders. Well, that's a big story. In fact, Ajay, many thanks for joining us. That's a big takeaway rather of this one. And now let's move on and talk about the other big story of the day. The top court today has taken suo motu cognizance on report of alleged mishandling of COVID-19 affected dead bodies. The apex court slammed Delhi government for handling of dead bodies. The apex court has termed as horrific. The situation in Delhi refers to COVID-19 patients being stacked with dead bodies in hospitals. The court has also observed that hospitals are not giving due care to keeping of bodies and also not even informing the family members about these deaths. The court sought reply from Delhi, Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu on suo motu case related to improper handling of COVID-19 patients. And the Supreme Court also directed that no coercive action should be taken till July next week against private companies which have failed to pay full wages to their employees during the coronavirus pandemic induced lockdown period. The bench has asked the state governments to facilitate such settlement process and also to file its report with Labour commissioners concerned. It has also asked the centre to file an additional affidavit within 4 weeks with regard to the legality of Ministry of Home Affairs for March 29 circular, which has mandated payment of full wages of these stakeholders during the lockdown period. So all stakeholders should make efforts to settle disputes between employees as well as employers. And court has also asked state governments that they should initiate and facilitate such settlements as soon as possible. Plus, states will be submitting reports before Labour commissions. The respective states will be submitting concerned reports to their concerned or respective Labour commissioners. We're talking about states like Maharashtra as well as New Delhi Centre. States will circulate these orders through Labour departments to facilitate such settlements. The top court has also said that Centre has to file affidavit, and the timeline set for that affidavit is set to be 4 weeks. And next hearing of this particular case is slated for July last week. Remember, let's do a quick recap. The top court today reiterated that there will be no coercive action against private firms for non-payment of the full wages during lockdown. The Supreme Court order on petitions against MHA notification on full wages was out today. The court has maintained that there's going to be no coercive action against these private firms for these non-payment of during the lockdown period, whereas the private companies and the workers have to sit together to negotiate, to settle these disputes relating to these wages amid the lockdown situation. Meanwhile, court has also observed that all these stakeholders should make efforts to settle disputes. And my colleague Vikas, who covers courts very extensively, now joining us live on this broadcast. Vikas, first of all, on the top court's observation on the pathetic state of medical infrastructure in Delhi and the other states that it has pointed out, especially the way Delhi government has been pulled up for the mishandling of the dead bodies in particular, and very, very strong observations made by the court there. Can we just, Vikas, if you can hear me, we'll try and come back to you in a bit. We seem to have a bit of an audio snag there. We'll try and go back to Vikas in a bit. We're not able to hear him properly. Let's meanwhile move on to the other story. We'll go back to Vikas in a bit as we get connected to him. Meanwhile, let's move on to the other story. Now, this is for all those who are big cricket buffs. BCCI has today announced that the Indian cricket team will not travel to Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe owing to the current threat of COVID-19. Team India was, remember, originally scheduled to travel to the island nation from 24th of June to 2020 for 3 ODIs, as many as T20s. And also a trip to Zimbabwe was scheduled for a series comprising 3 ODIs starting 22nd August 2020. But finally, ICC has cancelled these tours amid the pandemic situation, the trip or the tour to Sri Lanka and Zimbabwe, owing to the current threat of COVID-19. Tapas is with us on this story. Tapas, yes, you're there. Tapas, has it come on expected lines? And what happens to cricket? Because this situation continues to remain for some more time.
Situation which is currently in the country, and not just in India but also outside in the whole world. Keeping that in mind, the tours that was India's tour of Sri Lanka as well as of Zimbabwe, which were scheduled to be held for on June and August respectively, has been called off by the BCCI, and its board secretary Jay Shah in a statement informed that India were in fact supposed to tour Sri Lanka for the 3 ODIs and 3 T20 international starting from June 24th, and then would have moved to Zimbabwe for 3 ODIs starting from August 22nd. In between, one was expected a small sort of ODI series with the South African team as well. Remember when South Africa was here earlier in the year, the pandemic struck. The first match was washed out, and the next 2 matches were postponed. So the decision was made public by BCCI after yesterday. In fact, Sri Lankan Cricket Board said that it is not going ahead with it. In fact, as of now, it is expected that India is in fact unlikely to even go for any cricket as such. Even with the cricket South Africa, as I was just mentioning, that they were planning for end of August, a 3 T20 international series. So that is also not happening, and India have not been playing competitive cricket since March, mid-March basically. So and the IPL, which was expected to be held right now, has also been kind of put in the back burner. In fact, the BCCI is trying its level best to make sure that they can host the IPL at least at the end of the year, possibly, if possible, behind closed stadium at least, because remember, that's a lucrative tournament, and if that
I was
also
coming to the business part of it.
Yes.
Do you think this is going to be a big setback, and the setback is it's going to be there for some time till we are completely out of it? It's not about India, it's about the global pandemic situation looming large. Having said that, what seems to be the plan, Tapas? You've been talking to the officials up there. And most importantly, how has players responded or reacted to this? And what has been the Sri Lankan board's response to this?
Yes, Sakal, it is very imperative that the players keep themselves, fit, because remember, when you are not playing competitive cricket, your body tend to get into the very lethargic sort of a mood, and it's a competitive world. The players' body is in the nowadays, they are maintaining all these physical tests, the yo-yo test that has come into effect. So BCCI was keen to put the players in in the stadium, in the practice session. But then, remember, Sports Ministry has come up with the SOP to, opening of some of the sports. The BCCI was thinking on that term, but then it realized that, the situation is such that most of its major centers, be it Mumbai, be it Delhi, or for that matter, down south, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, they all have a massive, COVID-19 cases. So keeping that in mind, it decided that let's not jump the bandwagon. Let's just wait some time, because it is imperative that the players' interest should be kept at first. The second important part, you talk about the financial aspect. When you cricket, as I said, it's not just it's just not a game. It's just a religion in the country, and it does provide a lot of money to the players, and not just to the playing 11. It also provides a incentive to the host states as well as the players who are playing. So basically, if a player is playing competitive,
so it's cricket going to be okay. Tapas, on a lighter note, so is cricket going to be under lockdown mode for quite some time?
It is going to be. As of now, it seems that in the next couple of months, we will not be able to see much of a cricket. The prerogative for BCCI, is to make sure that they can get the IPL up and running. Unfortunately, ICC has kind of put a dampener on their plans, because they said they would like to wait further to announce what they are planning to do for the World T20, which is also expected end of the year.
So but this international cricket taking beating, Tapas, due to the pandemic situation, it is a temporary situation, we do understand, but the dent as far as the commercial aspect, the financial aspect of it is concerned, the business of cricket is concerned, because it involves huge money as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that is the whole point that I'm trying to say, that, BCCI is trying its level best to host at least the IPL. IPL is the cash cow for BCCI and for players. The kind of money that IPL generates is actually gives a lot of, financial power to the BCCI to spend on its grassroots level program. In fact, the way one sees it, the not just the money that comes from the gate money that comes, but also the money that comes from the broadcasting of the matches also helps in providing other players, so players who are playing Ranji Trophy, or for that matter all the other matches in the country, they are also getting benefited from this money. So in that sense, a lot is going on the behind closed doors in BCCI camp. They are really trying their level best to make sure that at least the IPL takes place behind closed doors, so that they can recover some sort of amount. Also, they're planning, if by chance the World T20, which is supposed to happen in Australia,
Tapas,
end of the year, it doesn't go well, then they can have that window.
So, well, as of now, the international cricket also seems to be in a lockdown mode, though temporarily. Thank you so much, Tapas, for putting that into perspective. In fact, let's quickly go back to those very, very pertinent and strong observations made by the top court today, especially taking so much cognizance on the reports of alleged manhandling or mishandling of the COVID-19 patients and the dead bodies. Vikas, in fact, is joining us on this broadcast. Because I'm sorry, we were not able to get through you earlier, but the Apex Court is terming as horrific the situation in Delhi, not only pulling up Delhi, but also seeking replies from West Bengal as well as Maharashtra government for its inept handling of the situation, especially on the medical front. Vikas? Vikas, can you hear us?
Hello.
Yes, Vikas, please go ahead.
Well, Sakal, after going through several media reports, Supreme Court today pulled up not only Delhi but 3 or 4 other states as well. Court was of the view that these states are not doing enough to curb COVID-19, and apart from that, their mishandling of the issue was also quite obvious. Supreme Court noted that recently court saw some media reports, some TV reports where LNJP, there was a sting operation inside LNJP Hospital, Delhi, and it was shown that that the people died of due to COVID-19 virus. Their bodies were kept along with the with other patients. So Supreme Court said that this kind of situation is horrific. It is unimaginable that that the authorities are doing such a thing. Now court not only has sought reply from some states, from Delhi, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, but specifically court has also sought a reply from the LNJP hospital authorities over that video.
Okay.
So these replies will be filed before the Supreme Court, and then court will look into those responses, whether states are doing good enough or not.
Okay.
Court was of the view that that LNJP is said to have almost 2,000 beds, out of which only 870 beds are in use as of now. Still, hospital is unable to deal with this situation. The video showed that people are struggling to get enough oxygen. No medical support was given to them. So these things are being noted by the Supreme Court, and now LNJP hospital in particular will have to reply on those questions.
All right. On that note, thank you so much, Vikas, for those quick updates. Thank you. And let's move on and get you a latest update as far as numbers are concerned. India's COVID-19 recovery rate has further showed drastic improvement. The number of recovered patients from COVID-19 have exceeded the number of active patients. And this is, remember, appreciable because this is for the third consecutive day today. According to Health Ministry, 1,47,194 patients have been cured and discharged, while the total number of active cases is 1,41,842. And according to the Health Ministry, 1,47,194 patients cured so far, discharged, while the total number of active cases stand at 1,41,842. So basically the bottom line here being that the number of recovered patients from COVID-19 have exceeded the number of those that are active as of now. And this trend continues to be for the third consecutive day today, which means, as Tapas joins me quickly before we wrap up this broadcast, that there is a pattern to it now, Tapas. There is a pattern to it.
There's a pattern, and the recovery rate of COVID-19 cases has continued to increase. And as you have rightly mentioned, it is 1,47,194 individuals, which is basically 49.47%. So that is a impressive figure. The
recovery rate.
Yes, and the other thing that is very impressive is that the doubling time, which was earlier 15.4 days, so 14 to 15 days, has now exceeded to 17 days. So that is also kind of a marker that India's war on COVID is on track. We are working on it. Yes, it's slow, but we are definitely on track to it. And one of the reasons why, when today Cabinet Secretary held a video conference with the chiefs secretaries and Secretary Health and Secretary of Urban Development of all states, they were told the states should focus more on containment, testing, and tracing health infrastructure.
Yes.
All this, and also to upgrade the health infrastructure. We talk about health infrastructure all the time. They spoke about the need to upgrade that. Also, case clinical management and community engagement also were talked about by the cabinet secretary. So all these things were spoken, and the way one spoke about when you talk about the upgradation, there are a couple of things that is important. Providing sufficient logistics, which is basically providing the pulse oximeter that we are talking about all the time, and also the trained human resources, providing doctors, staff, nurses, and the non-clinical stuff. So all these things come together. So the war is on.
This perception of community transmission basically holds no ground if you look
Absolutely.
at the recovery rate, which seems to be improving by the day. But because of the population density, well, that is our huge challenge to deal with.
Absolutely, Circle. That's the whole point. ICMR has already, said that there is no community transmission as such, and that's something that even today, when the cabinet secretary, spoke about.
Yes, Tapas.
They made it very clear. The idea is very simple, that the ICMR has, ICMR has also updated its testing, and as of now, 877 labs are presently operational, which is a huge thing. Huge jump. 637 government labs and 240 private labs are working around the clock. And as of now, more than 150,305 samples were tested in the last 24 hours. So when you can't say that there are not testing happening. When a lot of people are talking about there is not much testing happening. So that kind of also debunk those theories.
Absolutely.
And also when you talk about a total of more than 53 lakh of 63,445 sample all as of now overall has been tested. Gives the idea the kind of testing that India has been doing, and that is a major thing. Testing, segregating, and providing relief to the patient is one of the most important part in this fight.
And
this
most
war
importantly, amidst all this, the ramping up of testing infrastructure continues to be on war footing. Thank you very much, Tapas Bhattacharya, for getting us a quick update on this. And with that, let's quickly wrap up this broadcast. Meanwhile, news updates continue on your channel, nation's leading national broadcaster, DD News. Namaskar.